All right, guys, so today we're going to do a hand review from Tuesday night, January 26th, the common game hands for the night session. These are the hands that the RBC open, and 0 to 999er was the strat from last night that played the limited game. So they both use these sets of hands. So everything we're talking about can apply to the open game or the limited game. That limited game got 9 tables last night, which is really amazing. That's great participation. And it leads into mentor-mentee night, which is this following Sunday. Of course, we also have Thursday night open and limited games. But, really good job of getting the IN players involved. And I hope that these videos where we go over the hands will, especially be a help to that crowd. Although I think there's just reviewing the hands, I pick up a lot of stuff, and I've texted some with Alex this morning about some questions I had. So I pick up a lot of stuff. I think basically everybody probably can learn something reviewing a hand, history from a night like this night. So we're also going to have a little bit of a tutorial on just how to use Google Chrome here too. And what I've done is I've gone ahead and opened up 4 tabs, and also there's still a poker game going. I think we're down to about 12 people here, so maybe we can win a poker tournament while we talk about these hands. Okay, so I've opened up 4 tabs in anticipation of reviewing this. This is probably a call, but I'm a weenie. In anticipation of reviewing this set of hands, those tabs are Bridge Base Online, obviously, is what you see on the left side there. Actually, I guess you see the Raleigh Bridge Club website is one thing I've opened. The Common Game homepage is another thing I've opened. The Bridge World homepage is something I've opened. And, obviously back to BBO, which is where we're going to be doing most of the work here. Okay, so let me show you these web pages in order. We have the Raleigh Bridge Club page, and why I would be using this is I can go to game results. And like last night was, let's say I wanted to review something that I did. This is just an alternative option to actually going into BBO. I can go to these boards, like say board 1, and I can see, what happened at my table here. And I can actually go through and replay the hands if I want, trick by trick. I can use this to use the Gib analysis on any hand I want. Okay, ace 10 looks like a hand we're going to play, so let's talk about this for just a second. Yeah, but the Raleigh Bridge Club webpage will have the results from both the open game and the limited game. And this is kind of a tough spot here. This is probably just supposed to be a jam. At 10 players left and I'm the small stack, huh? I think we're just jamming this. Worst case scenario, I lose my chips to a better hand and we go on with our bridge review, right? 5-handed as the short stack. I don't think I can wait for a better spot than this. This makes for great bridge video here. Come on, show me ace 9. Ooh, 9-8. All right. No 7 ball. Sweet. We now have some chips to play with. That's cool. Anyway, back to the bridge nonsense. That's what you would use RBC website for. We pick up another hand here. Ace Jack of diamonds. I don't want any action on this, so I think we're just jamming this too. I want to, even though I figure to have a pretty good hand here, I don't want any action on this. Just give me those blinds. That's fine. All right. So that's what we would use Raleigh Bridge Club site for. What else have we got here? We'll go ahead and close that one. Oh, by the way, I meant to show you something about Chrome in case you didn't know. Good Lord, we're picking up hands here. All right, I think I am going to invite action with this one. If number 76 wants to try and bully me out of this spot, I'll play for stacks here. Ace King, substantially better hand than Ace Jack, and I'm calling this off for sure. We're just going to race. So same result there. It's if I would have jammed, he's calling, so nothing to that when we're back down to only 8 big blinds. Okay, when you've got the 4 tabs open here to do your review, on Chrome, you can click this icon up here and save a session. So like I can type in bridge review, save this, and the next time I open up Chrome, like I can go down to this, hit open bridge review, and it will actually open all 4 tabs that I want to do this presentation. So that's a little shortcut to save you some time if you didn't know about that one. Anyway, Bridge World, the reason I have this open is because we can go to this Bridge World Standard and then click on Bridge World Standard 2017. And there's a whole system here that's kind of like universally used by experts. If they weren't necessarily used to being partners together, this would be a good default system you could potentially use. So if I run into any questions during the review, I'm going to do one of 2 things. I'm going to text Alex and ask him what he thinks, or I'm going to try and find it here. Okay, so this is a good resource for doing a hand review as well. So that's that. Then we've got the common game. And in order to see last night's action on the common game, what I'm going to do is go to the upper left, click night, and the latest open common game. And this shows you like all the people who played the common game last night are listed here. You can see that like the Stemkovskis did very well. Nationally, they were 10th north-south, and they won the game like for the Raleigh Bridge Club as well. So congratulations to them. They've been doing very, very well lately. But here you see all the results and why particularly I'm going here for a hand review. King Jack of Diamonds. Ugh. Maybe that's a shove too, but I'm a weenie again. Why I'm going here is because I need to get these hands in Lin format so that it'll be easier to review for you. So all I'm going to do is go to this Lin link up here, and that's just a form of translating the hands to BBO format. Like I don't pretend to know anything technical about this stuff, but I know that Lin, I need to right click on that, save the link as, we'll just call it January 26 RBC. And I'll show you what I'm going to do with this over on BridgeBase. So we're going to go ahead and log in. And I'm going to go to the right side of my screen with account, and under deal archive, I'm going to hit the plus button to create a folder. So we'll call this, and I can hit pencil to edit it. We'll call this also January 26th RBC. And I'm going to, are we not back yet? Okay, this is a fold. I am going to import those hands. So I'm going to get my face out of the way here. I'm going to import the Lin file. So I choose a file. There it is. Import it. Success. Great. And now what's going to happen is when I go to set up a teaching table, all those hands are going to come up. Okay, so I can go to practice, start a teaching table, slide these off so I don't get bothered by people trying to kibitz or anything weird like that. Put my face back on this side. Start the table. I'll go ahead and sit all these places. And then in order to access those hands that we just saved, we're going to go to deal source, use save deals, January 26th RBC, double click on that, select, close that out. And then when we redeal, we'll be at hand 1 from the RBC from last night. So A couple steps involved there, but it's actually, pretty easy as far as things go. Okay, still waiting on hand for hand. And then over here, I'm going to go to history. My recent tournament. I don't know why that keeps on showing up. We'll click over here just in case I want to show you, what my particular result from a hand might have been last night. We're going to fold the queen 5 suited. Get rid of that again. And I think we are about ready to go here. Okay, cool. Give ourselves a little bit more real estate to work with there. Okay, so we're ready for our hand review. And I spent a little bit of time reviewing these this morning and just deciding what I wanted to talk about. But, it's not like we're not going to go formulaically on every single hand. I just try to pick out some things that might be worth talking about on each one. And keep in mind here, like, there aren't always black and white answers, and I certainly don't purport to be the most talented or knowledgeable analyst about any of this stuff. But what I can do is head you in the right direction about the things you ought to be thinking about strategically and conventionally. So anyway, without further ado, let's go to the hand review from last night. So this is board 1, and what North has here is a balanced 18 count. So with balanced 18s, balance shapes are 4-4-3-2, 5-3-3-2, and 4-3-3-3. With balanced 18 or 19 counts, the plan needs to be open one of a suit and rebid 2 no trump, assuming you and your partner just have the auction to yourself. Now, the question is, should we open diamonds or clubs? And most people open a diamond with 4-4 and a club with 3-3. That's what I suggest you would do. So we're going to put North with a 1 diamond opening. East overcalls a spade. It's a good suit. It's the boss suit. You're not vulnerable. I wouldn't think very hard about bidding a spade here. South doesn't really have enough to bid here. He's got the right shape and a spade stopper to potentially bid 1 no trump. The problem is if you bid 1 no trump freely in an auction like this, it really shows a better hand. Something like 8-10 rather than the 5 that South has got. So South is just going to keep his mouth shut here and see what happens on the flip. Ooh, we have 10s. Nice. Can we double up again? 10s against 5s. Great shape. Awesome. All right. So we have a diamond, a spade. 8-5. Could potentially be a ship if this guy, small blind. Let's see what's going on here. 81 is the small stack. Don't think I have the cojones to ship this. Just wait on the next hand here. We are on the final table bubble here, so the next person that busts, we're going to be at the final table. So South passes. West kind of has an interesting choice here. I think the 3 things that are in the running are 2 clubs, which should be natural and not forcing. It's possible that you play a style where new suits are forcing by a previously unpassed hand. That's actually not a bad way to play in overcalling situations. But I did check Bridge World 2017 to make sure, and they do treat a 2 club call here as, I guess, non-forcing constructive is what you would call it. So if you play that new suits, and I certainly suggest that that's the way to start out playing, because it stresses like that new suits ought to be good hands in most situations. And I think that's the right idea that you want to start with. Okay, so anyway, make an agreement with your partner. If you decide that new suits by the overcalling side should be forcing, this is not enough hand. The other option is 1 no trump. The other non-pass option is 1 no trump. Don't like that because you don't have a diamond stopper. And you're also a little light on values. The reason I say that is because when your partner's overcalled, they don't have to have as much as an opening hand. Like we can be overcalling on maybe as few as 6 or 7 points. So it's a little bit less of a good idea to bid 1 no trump on only 8 if your partner's range includes like some 6 and 7s. So what that leaves us with is pass. And I actually think that's a fine option with this hand. Okay, you do have a couple of spades for partner. Everything else is sort of flawed. And I don't want to trick my partner into thinking I have better clubs than this or a better hand than this, which, certainly one no trump. Probably your partner's going to think you have a better hand, opposite an overcall. So let's stick with pass. And North now has a couple of options. One of them being a takeout double. So you could bid double here. And that would just say, partner, I'm short in spades. I've got support for the other suits. Please bid your longest suit, kind of. The type of hand pattern that partner would be expecting is like 1 spade and 4 cards in the other suits, and that would be consistent with having opened a diamond. The other option here, which I'm actually not sure which one we're supposed to be doing. The other option would be to bid 1 no trump. All right, and that shows a balanced hand, a spade stopper, and 18 to 19 in this context. Like, you don't have to jump to 2 no trump here, being as how your partner's a passed hand. The only reason you would be bidding no trump at this point is 18 to 19. You might ask why. Well, it's not 15 to 17 because you already would have opened 1 no with that. And it's not 11 to 14 because that would kind of be suicidal to rebid 1 no trump with 11 to 14 here, being as how South already couldn't act over a spade. So really the only thing that's left is 18 to 19, and obviously not 20 to 21 because you would have opened 2 no trump, and not 22 plus because you would have opened 2 clubs. So I think maybe I like 1 no trump a little bit better here. I'm a little bit emboldened by the fact that I will put East on lead, and by the fact that my right-hand opponent, West, didn't raise spades. Okay, so they rate to have fewer spades when they didn't raise them. I suppose gives me a little bit of comfort. And the other thing that 1 no trump does is it puts my hand in a tighter box than double does. Like, double might be made on a wider range of hands, both shape-wise and high card point-wise, than 1 no trump is here. So one of the principles I've been really stressing to everyone is try to select a bid that paints a more concise picture of your hand. So, those are the things I'd be thinking about, and I would probably bid 1 no here. And it's just going to go pass, pass, pass. And that's all I have to say about board 1. We go over to the ladder, we hit redeal. And we're all, what I'm going to do? I'm going to yank this over to this side and then bring it back if anything interesting happens. All right. Problem is, every time I click on the bridge, the poker goes, oh, we have queens. Back to this for a second. Let's close that out and get a little more real estate. Awesome. And this is just a no-brainer. Ship all my chips in. I don't care what player 89 does. I don't care if 76 folds. But he's going to call, and my range rates to be way ahead of his here. Except that he has aces this time. Oh, well, good game, me. Oh, spike the queen. Oh, my. Holy smoke, suddenly this is interesting. All right, and we pick up 6s on the very next hand. Oh, this is going to be super awesome if I can win this thing while I do a bridge video. Audience is like, yeah, it's super awesome, Lance. This guy tries to raise here. We're just going to ship all the chips in. Yeah, all in. And if he's got 6s beat, more power to him. I'll just spike a 6 on the river anyway. But he's probably folding a lot of his hands here, being as how we're on the final table bubble. Just fold, buddy. And like, I'm not rooting for him to call here. Oh, God, he has queens. Okay, we'll just spike a 6. Come on. Ah, one more card. Maybe I can make it straight. Okay, back to 40,000 chips. It's kind of a roller coaster here. We have another pair. This does not happen. This does not happen, folks. Pairs are only 1 in 17, right? Because you can think of it as being dealt the first card And then there are 3 cards that match that card out of 51 left. So pairs are 1 in 17, and I can't wait on a better spot than this. We just have to hope we're racing. And again, if I can't beat him, we just focus on the bridge video, and that'll be fine too. And then when we get the bridge video done, we can take a nap. All right, ace and a 9. Ooh, we've got the backdoor spade draw. He's got 4 outs. He doesn't hit them. Awesome. Back up to 90,000 chips. This is just a yo-yo here. Okay, we can finally fold a hand and get back to the bridge. All right. East passes. South has an interesting choice here of whether to overcall, or not overcall, but open a weak 2 in diamonds or not. This is not exactly my cup of tea to open 2 diamonds. Particularly, like, really only because I'm in second chair red on white, and I think that's the place where you need to be the tightest with your preempts. I'm not going to say that passing here isn't a gamble. Like, try not to think of actions in terms of like, ooh, opening a weak 2 is a gamble and pass is safe, because depending on how the auction develops, like, it could turn out that pass was actually the riskier option. So what I'm going to do here is actually go down 2 paths. Let's say you had opened a weak 2 in diamonds. This is what happened at our table. Alex overcalled 2 spades, which I'm pretty sure he would agree is just the absolute bottom of his range. But he's under pressure here with short diamonds and with 5 cards in the boss suit. And it went pass, and I bid 3 spades with the east hand, and we just, I think, went down, right? Yeah, we went down 1 for a little bit less than average board. So if you open 2 diamonds, it's actually going to lead to a reasonable result. Let's go back to going down the path of passing with the south hand, which I also think is reasonable. I guess it would be a good time to review what factors I'm considering, like what we're talking about in the plus and minus column for preempting here when you're faced with a spot like this that is close. I'm going to tighten up my preempts when I'm in second chair because already one of my opponents has passed. Okay. And if you, we have kings and we've made the final table. Now we get a purple background. Isn't that cool? And I think we're just going to make a small raise here. We're obviously committed, but I'm actually hoping to induce action with a hand this good. So I guess we can keep on talking about preempts while I wait for the result of this hand. Chair number matters, and second chair is where I'm going to be the tightest. Third chair is going to be where I'm going to be the loosest, and that is just strictly from an odds perspective. When you're in second chair, one of your opponents has already passed. When you're in third chair, you already know that both your partner and an opponent doesn't have a good hand. Ergo, the person on your left probably has a pretty good hand, and you're 100% that you are preempting the right side. Let's talk about first chair too, I guess. There you're sort of getting even money. Well, excuse me, you're not getting even money. You're getting good odds there too, not infinite odds like you're getting in third chair. You could be possibly stealing from the person on your left or the person on your right. There's 2 of those guys, and there's only one guy that's, in theory on your side, the guy sitting across the table from you. So in order of loosest to tightest preempts, loosest is going to be third chair, second loosest first chair, and the tightest will be second chair. Okay. Vulnerability is also a factor, and we can do a loosest to tightest hierarchy there also. Loosest is when you are white on red. That means you're not vulnerable. The opponents are vulnerable. Second loosest would be everybody's not vulnerable. Third loosest, or second tightest, if you want to think about it that way, is that everybody's vulnerable. And the tightest is when you're vulnerable and they're not vulnerable. So going back to our actual hand, like we are in second chair, which calls for the tightest standards, and we are red on white. We're vulnerable. They're not vulnerable. You can tell it by this, the colors on this number 2 thing up here. So both of those factors are telling us to be tight. The other things that I would consider are my suit quality. So queen, jack, 9, 7, 6th that's pretty reasonable suit quality. We actually don't want the ace of the suit we've preempted in, because that ace gives us more defensive prospects. And when you open a preempt, you are basically saying that my hand tends to work better as offense than defense. So think about like two possible preempting suits for preempting. You could have ace, queen, jack, 10, 6th, and that's 5 tricks of offense, but it's also like almost surely a trick of defense. Versus king, queen, jack, 10, 9, 6th. It's still the same amount of offense, right? You're just going to lose the ace, whereas in the first case you would lose the king. But now it's, very likely to not be any defense. Like maybe the opponents each have 2 diamonds and we can lead the suit, and before they throw away their loser, we can get in to cash the other one. But king, queen, jack, 10, 9, 6th is much less likely to be, providing a defensive asset. So when you're preempting, you want that offense to defense ratio to be as high as possible. Okay. And, what you're willing to open a week 2 with depends on style. But that's, if we think about this as like a volume dial, the more offense we have, the more we want to preempt. The more defense we have, the more we want to pass, or maybe consider opening at the 1 level if our hand is close to that, right? These are just, they're just dials on a magnifying glass or radio station, whatever you want to think about that you would be calibrating or putting in the plus minus column. That's what we're doing when we're considering preempting. Along with that offense to defense ratio talk is, what have we got on the outside? Here we've got the king of hearts and the king of clubs. Now, kings can be like, they can be offense, they can be defense, probably slightly more defensive oriented. So I don't love the fact that I've got values outside the suit I'm preempting. So we throw like all of those factors into a blender and think about whether I want to preempt or not with this hand. I would be a non-preempter. I actually, I'm super aggressive in some spots in bridge, particularly balancing, I think, and particularly third chair white on red. But preempting it, actually, I don't have one of the looser styles around, I don't think. Now, this is a pretty interesting spot with the ace jack. The full, or the limp by 78 is super weird. And I think I'm just going to be an ICM weenie here and fold this. You're really not incented to play hands when, like, every time somebody busts, it moves you up the playoff or the payoff structure. And I'd probably wait on a better spot than this. Like, even on this flop, jack 9-8 with 2 clubs where I got top pair, top kicker, backdoor flush draw, I would not be comfortable putting the rest of my stack into the middle here. So, perhaps it's better I just folded this. The other thing is too, like, it's super weird that 78 just limped into this pot with such a short stack. So it seems like sometimes when you raise here, you just run into aces or kings. So anyway, back to the bridge talk. I'm a passer, not a 2 diamond opener. But anyway, we're going to go down the pass path now. West would open a spade, certainly in third chair. It would go pass. I would do a losing trick count evaluation with the East hand, which is 3 spades, 1.5 hearts, 2 clubs, and 2 diamonds. I think that gets me to 8.5, which is like a 2 spade bid. This hand is definitely more like a single raise than a limit raise. Okay. Throw this back over here. So I would just be a 2 spade bidder. And you'll kind of start to see the problem here. Like, at this point, from South's perspective, what is very likely going on is that the opponents are about to play 2 spades, and the pressure is on me to be the one to balance since I have the short spades. Trouble being here, I've gotten myself into a spot where the unknown hand is behind me, right? So if I stick my neck out here, it's possible that the person on my left can just chop it off. Versus if I were in the pass out seat here, it would be pretty safe to bid 3 diamonds. Or if the hand on my left were the one that was known to be limited, it would be safer to bid 3 diamonds. So long and short of it is, I've gotten myself into a spot now where I feel like there's pressure for me to compete here, because I know it's super bad to let the opponents play two spades when they want to, and they want to here. And I kind of think to myself, like, okay, so if I'm considering bidding 3 diamonds here, wouldn't it have been better to just open 2 diamonds in the first place, right? And not let them have this exchange of information. Now, to be fair, like, we know more about the hand at this point. We know that the opponents are the ones who have A, the spades, and B, what looks like the values. So, it's a little bit unfortunate that they were the ones who were able to open the bidding. However, I'm trying to show you that, sometimes when you pass, and we'll see this later in some of the hands, you're going to end up in a spot like this later on where you would have wished you'd have taken more aggressive action as the person who had the chance to open a weak 2. Okay. So, somebody needs to try and get the opponents off of 2 spades here if they can. Passing out 2 spades on an auction like this, like from the north-south perspective, has been proven over time to be extremely bad. Like, I think the average expectation you're looking at when you let the opponents play 2 spades on an auction like this is about 25% of the match points. And not that n equals 1 proves anything, but let's see how East-West scoring 110 would do by taking a look at the score slip. So we can highlight hand 2 there. We can go to other tables to see what all the comparisons were. And you can see there were 3 people that were allowed to play 2 spades and make 2, and they scored 90%. So again, back to the talk about, what's safe and what's not safe. If you have an auction where it goes, ultimately like pass, pass, pass here, your brain is telling you that this is the safe action. But the scoreboard is telling you something else. The scoreboard is telling you you're actually risking more by letting them play 2 spades quietly here. I think we've beaten this horse to death. Let's move on to hand 3. All right, we have 6, 8, 12 balanced. You should be opening these hands. West has kind of an interesting spot here. My partner and I actually happened to be playing something last night where we could show 5+ diamonds and 4+ hearts. So he had the perfect call here. If you're not playing anything fancy, and I'm certainly not like advocating what we were doing. We just happened to be playing something goofy that catered to this hand shape. I have some sympathy for a bunch of different things here. I shouldn't even mention the third one, but I will. I have sympathy for overcalling your 6-card suit. Against that, it's a minor and it's not a great suit. I have some sympathy for overcalling a heart, like treating ace, king, queen, fourth as if it were a 5-card suit. This is the one I didn't want to mention because you really ought to be 5-5, particularly when you force to the 3 level, particularly when you're red on white. If you do something like this, here's kind of an interesting hand. We're going to fold 6s under the gun because there's 2 tiny stacks left and because I'm a big wuss. Back to the bridge. You could consider bidding 2 no trump here. Unusual for the 2 lowest unranking suits. I will delete this file from YouTube if anyone, accuses me of advocating bidding 2 no trump showing 5-5 when you've only got 6-4 and you're vulnerable against non. Let's stick with the down the middle action here, which is, I guess, a diamond. North would bid a spade. This only promises 4 spades. She actually has 5, but it only promises 4. East should take advantage of the opportunity to, limit her hand and show support. That's just a 2 diamond bid. South can pass. If you're playing support doubles here, which I strongly recommend that you do, you are denying 3 spades. And the most likely hand that you have is exactly the type of hand you're looking at. It's like a weak no trump hand without 3 spades. Okay. Yep. So West would just pass that. And I think what North wants to do here is reopen with a takeout double. Okay. There's like a lot of different paths this auction could go down from here. And we've already spent a whole bunch of time on the first 2 hands. Suffice it to say that East-West should be competing to the 3 level in diamonds because they know they hold 9 trumps. And West is the person that knows that. Like East doesn't know about the extra diamond. And North-South similarly should probably be competing to 3 clubs. And they probably shouldn't go like any further than that. Okay, so what drives how high you want to compete in situations like this is the number of trumps that your side holds. And it turns out that you are, in most circumstances, justified in competing to the level of the number of trumps you have. That means North-South has 9 clubs. They can compete to the 9 trick level, and East-West holds 9 diamonds. They can compete to the 9 trick level in what turns out to be the higher ranking suit here. On to 4. We have a pass, followed by a pass. A lot of these hands from last night were really competitive auctions. East holds 18 balanced. We already talked about how to handle those. You open a suit and then rebid 2 no trump on the back end. I like double with the South hand. The other options are pass, which I'm going to reject just because it's better to be aggressive in the bidding, basically. The other option is 2 clubs. I like double better because I just feel like it gets more of the features of my hand defined here. Think of double says, I'm short in spades and I have support for all the other suits. And like, I would love to have a singleton spade and 4 cards in each of the other suits, particularly in hearts, right? They only dealt me 1 hand. And you can think of it as like, it's your turn to speak, South. You can choose one of 2 messages to convey. So double conveys, partner, I'm short in spades. I have something resembling an opening hand, and I can handle any of the other 3 suits as trumps. And you might think like, it's not the perfect hand for that. It's a little bit flawed in that you only have 3 hearts and you have a doubleton spade and you have 5 clubs, right? You could think that way. Or you can choose the 2 club overcall, which says, I've got a pretty good hand and I've got at least 5 clubs. Okay, note the difference in those 2 things. Like you are giving partner more outs, more soft places to fall if you make the takeout double, which is more flexible. Remember the F word. Then you are giving partner places to fall if you overcall 2 clubs. 2 clubs is the more committal action, right? And you kind of know like you're not going to have enough for a club game here once your partner's passed. So I like double better here. I think with West, you definitely want to raise. I'd probably just raise to 2 spades and be happy bidding 3 spades later on, depending on how the auction develops. So I think this goes like 2 spades, pass, 4 spades. And it's going to be touch and go as to whether this makes. Okay. Board 5. Update on poker here for those of you that care about that, because I know you really care about my poker game. We're down to 5 people. So we're kind of just biding our time and hoping other people knock each other out here. Every time one person loses all their chips, it's called laddering up. You move 1 spot up the pay chart. So there's like a difference between what you get paid for 5th place versus 4th place, yada, yada, yada. 5-4 is not exciting. If that gets exciting, we'll bring it back in and pause the bridge. Okay, hand 5. We have a 10 count as north. You shouldn't be all that tempted to open this. And it goes pass, pass. We have 17 balanced. There's a bid for that. You type into this explain box 15 to 17. You actually don't have to do that anymore. I think your opponents are allowed to assume that you have 15 to 17 when you open a no trump. I still like to do it just as a courtesy. And this should buy the pot. Like North-South should not be getting involved. This is not, whether North or South gets involved after West opens a no trump is solely based on having unbalanced shape. And they both have balanced shapes. So like you just can't deal me enough high card points to act in either of these seats here. It's about the shape of your hand, not about the high card points in your hand. Okay. And East like has no business doing anything here. Less than invitational, no shape, no interest in a major. This auction should go 1 no trump float, assuming you're playing a strong no trump. There's actually a lot of people in the RBC field who play weak no trumps. Okay. And I think maybe an idea for a hand review. We actually did this once last summer, but might do it in a future review, is talk about things from a weak no trump standpoint, both just to familiarize yourselves like what that looks like from a constructive bidding angle, and also to talk about how to defend those and how it's different than defending a strong no trump. On 6. We have another candidate for preempt. So let's go down our checklist. We're first seat. That's good. We are red against white. That makes us want to tighten up. The fact that we have 4 cards in another major, that's in the minus column here, because if I choose to open 3 hearts with this hand, one thing I'm doing is making it harder for our side to get to 4 spades. If it turns out that my partner is the one with a pretty good hand here, and if he had spade length. So that's in the minus column. Against that, we have a really good suit that doesn't include the ace. Okay, so our heart suit is providing no defense, but it's providing 5 tricks of offense. And the king 10 of spades, the singleton diamond, these could all potentially be defensive values. So we have somewhere around 1 trick of defense and 5 tricks of offense. And 5 to 1's a pretty heavy ratio of offense to defense, pretty favorable for preempting. So I was faced with this problem as I did physically sit east last night, and I did open 3 hearts. I decided within the parameters of our partnership style, this was a 3 heart opener. Okay, the risks you're taking are that you actually belong in spades and that you're vulnerable. And the benefits are there's 2 opponents you might be stealing from versus 1 partner. And we get our hand off our chest kind of in one fell swoop with a hand that's way more suited to offense than it is to defense. Okay, so that's the calculus. I'd bid 3 hearts. This is one of the hands where I went through and checked at what the other strong players did and made sure it made sense with what I thought about this hand. So if you're south, the hand is too strong to just call 3 spades with. Like 3 spades shows a good hand, sure, but not this much hand. Like you would be bidding 3 spades if your ace king of clubs were too small. So you actually have at least like 2 and probably 3 more cards, tricks than you would have sometimes for, the 3 spade bid. Back to an interesting spot in poker here. The chip leader has jammed under the gun. I have this yucky looking hand, but the fact is, like, I think his all-in provides me some protection. And I think we can just go to time bank here. Awesome. Like, the person on my left is really not calling very often here. And if you look at the chip stacks, like I have 15,000 left. Everybody else has got, at least 175,000 or more. I've kind of run out of time to expect that somebody else is going to bust before me if I don't make a move. So if we think about the math here, I have 15,000 behind, which means that effectively the under the gun person has bet 21,000. There is therefore 39,000 plus the antes is like 45,000 of dead money here in the middle, and I only have to risk 15,000 to get that. That means I'm getting 3 to 1 odds on this hand, and my hand has 25% equity against what the under the gun shover has here. So in essence, he's kind of protected me by shipping here, and we just have to call, even though this is kind of a crummy hand. And with any luck for the viewers, this will be the end of my poker game, and we can go on to being, more serious about the bridge. Okay, so we're going to need to spike a jack. We do. Living a charmed life here in this poker game. Back to the bridge. We're talking about South's options here. So he could bid, and we have another pair. So back to the poker. Just easy all in here. Called by ace jack. We spike a 6, and he is drawing dead. So all of a sudden we're back in this thing. The thing about poker is like it's a very simple game. You just start with a pair and pray that the dealer puts a third three of a kind out on the table for you, and you just win all the monies. All right, back to this. So three spades is out. We can't do that. It doesn't do justice to our hand. What might do justice to our hand strength-wise is bidding four spades. Note that when they open a preempt and we jump overcall, that shows a good hand, not a weak hand. Speaking of good hands, we have ace queen. We're going to put all the money in. And all of a sudden, we've got a kind of a medium stack here. So we're going to go back into our shell maybe a little bit in the hope that some of these other yo-yos will bust. Okay, so if they open three hearts and we jump to four spades, that's actually a good hand, a very good hand. Like you're playing your partner for some values, but you're saying like opposite like any sort of reasonable values in the dummy, I have a good play for four spades. The other option is to double first and then bid four spades on the back end. That's what I like here. That kind of synced up with what the stronger players in the field did when faced with this decision is south. So that's what we're going to explore here. Let's explore double. Pass. This is a takeout double, so North is just going to bid their 6-card diamond suit. I have I'm not going to say that. I'm just going to take out a takeout double. and now South has a couple of options here. You could raise to 5 diamonds reasonably, or you could continue with your plan of bidding 4 spades. You know, it's a really good 5-card suit. It was more frequent that people chose to bid 4 spades here, although I think both actions have merit. And I would just now be a passer as North. And it turns out that I think 4 spades is off one double dummy. But, you know, if you get to 4 spades on an auction like this and you understand that, you know, if South doubles first, that shows some flexibility when he bids 4 spades on the back end. The other lesson here is that overcalling 4 spades over 3 hearts is a better hand than overcalling 3 spades. It's not, we don't preempt preempts. Okay. Anyway, moving on. We have a pass followed by 1 heart. I would bid Michaels with the North hand with 5-5 shape. I'm not sure there would be a consensus on that, but that's what I'd do. Speaking of things I'm not sure there would be a consensus on, I would be, I think, treating my hand as defensively oriented with the East. I do have a 13 count. It's a little bit soft. And then it's flat. It's defensively oriented. I have kings and queens. I have the 9 of spades. That could potentially be an interesting card. I would be doubling here. And like I say, this might not be the consensus. There might be players who are stronger than I am right now, like looking at their monitors if they're watching this and saying like, come on, Lance, that's completely nuts. But that's what I do. We can talk about what double should mean here, whether or not you agree with my choice. Double means like I have a good hand and I think it's going to work out better for us to defend the hand than it will to play offense. That's what double means here. Okay, so if it went double, like South would probably bid 2 no trump to ask what partner's minor is. West doesn't really have anything to chip in, and East still has a call on the back end. North would bid 3 diamonds, and East would, you know, continue with his original plan and double here. North has announced diamonds and spades. You have 4 spades, you have 3 diamonds, you have 13 balanced. Like, I would double and lead a trump if that's the way the auction proceeds. Okay. Alex and I actually had an uncontested auction here. So he like opened a heart, I bid a spade, he bid 2 hearts, and I jammed him into 4 hearts. And later on, I felt a little bit guilty about that because East hand kind of feels like a point count trap to me. And it's part of the reason why I'm trading as a defensive hand here instead of an offensive hand on this auction. We pick up rockets. That's nice. And it's kind of similar to the King's hand from earlier. Like we're hoping to induce action here by just raising and giving them room to come over the top here. Like, actually, I don't think that any, well, that's okay. It just wins the blinds. Let's look at the East hand from a losing trick count perspective in support of hearts. It's 1.5 spades, 2.5 hearts is 4, 2.5 clubs is 6.5, and like a diamond and a half. I feel like we've already been a little bit pessimistic with all these halves for our queens, particularly the queen of hearts, which is in the suit that partners opened. But we're looking at something like, 8 losing trick count here. We have another hand back on poker. I'm just getting hit over the head with the deck here at this point. And we're definitely calling this. And hoping we have him dominated. Like hoping he turns over something like ace 10, which he does. He spikes a 10. Oh, I need a spade. And I'm out in 4th place. Boo. Okay. This will allow us to focus on the bridge, though. Yeah, so I have 8 losers. I would, even though I have 13 points with the East hand, I would treat it as an invitational hand. So whatever your way of showing a 3-card limit is, that's what I would treat the East hand it as if you got the auction to yourself. All right, hand 8. We have a pass followed by 14 balanced and a 4-card club suit opens a club. It goes pass. I don't want to overcall a spade with king 7 5 3 deuce. I think I'm just going to keep my mouth shut here. South has kind of an interesting classic bidding problem here, which is, do I name my 4-card spade suit or do I name my 5-card diamond suit? I'm of the school that you bid a spade when you have a hand that only wants to bid once. So I'm a spade bidder with this. This is called Walsh style, if you wanted to look it up on the internet. I'm sure there's a Wikipedia page on it. I'm a spade bidder, and the hell with the diamonds. Go pass. North can rebid 1 no trump to show the 11 to 14 balanced. Still no reason for East to get in here. And I don't think any reason for anybody else to bid either. So if there were 4 of me sitting at the table, I think this is the way it would go. Note that, West might be a little bit tempted to get involved here, but this is actually not a balancing auction, even though it's, 1 level lower. The auctions where you have to be super aggressive and take some chances in the balancing chair, in the pass out chair, those are equivalent terms, are the ones where the opponents have shown a fit. Here they have not shown a fit. So I'm just a passer, and we move on to 9, excuse me. 10, 16 balanced. We have a bid for that. We can be polite and type in 15 to 17. What I did next, remember I actually held the East cards, was kind of kamikaze, admittedly. I thought that there was enough chance that I could get away with it, that I went ahead and did it anyway. But I'm here to tell you, like 5 4 2 2 with a 7 count and bad suits, red on white. In theory, this is probably a pass, but I went ahead and showed the majors. Our way of doing that, we play something called Hello. So our way of doing that is to bid 2 hearts, and that shows majors. It turns out that in Don't, 2 hearts would show the same thing. If you're playing Capoletti, 2 diamonds would show the majors, right? But I decided to get involved here. It would be so much better if I had like 5 4 3 1 shape, or if I had like ace queen 10 9 5th of hearts instead of this ace queen empty junk. But I didn't end up getting away with it. Here is how you would not let me get away with it if you were north south. You could make a negative double with the south hand, and with the north hand. So the negative double is just like takeout. It's like I have some cards over here, not enough to bid 3 no trump, not enough to bid 3 hearts, which would commit us to game, but I have reason to think it's our deal, and I'm okay with you bidding the other major if you want to do that. And as north here, I might reason like I don't have 4 spades. I have a flat hand. We've already talked about that being defensively oriented. When you balanced hands are are better for defending usually, if it comes to an option of whether you're going to defend the hand or play offense. So I don't have 4 spades. I do have 3 hearts. I have a balanced hand. Anything I bid would take us to the 3 level. You might just shrug here and try to beat 2 hearts, particularly because the opponents are vulnerable. And all it's going to take is beating them 1 trick to get 200, right? And 200 here, I'm sure would probably be close to a top. If we go back to my table and go to 9 and look at the comparisons. Yeah, if, let's see, if north-south get 200 here, they would have an absolute top, okay? Because 1 no making 120 was the top as it was. So, part of what emboldens me to bid 2 hearts here is that there aren't enough people who know how to react to that and punish it when I've gotten out of line, which I certainly have here. If you start using those double cards and you start realizing what hands are good for defense, it makes it harder on East-West to get out of line. We'll leave it at that. And we'll move on to 10. Okay, 10 is actually the most interesting hand of the night, from just what I came up with on topics to talk about. So let's go through an auction here. I think the auction will be a fairly common one. I have one thing to point out about this. So it's easy enough for South to open a no trump here. You should feel like this is like a very good 1 no trump opening. You have 17, you have a 5-card suit, you have the 10 of clubs, you have the 10-9 of diamonds. In fact, like if you wanted to treat this as 18 to 19 balanced and open a club with the intention of rebidding 2 no trump, I would think that that's not such a bad outside the box way of evaluating this hand. Okay, but we'll just go down the 1 no trump. Oh, can't do it yet. Oh, let's see. Let's send him a message just to make sure he doesn't get his feelings hurt. Papa J. Is he on there? Yeah, there he is. Okay, so back to this. I've intentionally kind of like let you guys see the different things that are going on here in the morning for me. All right, so it goes pass. I figure it's, maybe marginally good from a entertainment standpoint. Type in 15 to 17. Again, we talked about if you want to treat this like 18 to 19 balance, more power to you. It goes pass. North has a game forcing hand with hearts. And pretty much any hand that has at least 5 hearts, you're going to start out with a transfer, assuming you're playing those. The explanation here is just exclamation point, lowercase h, get my caps lock off. We bid 2 diamonds, and what the opponents see is hearts. Okay, cool. And it goes pass. South should just bid 2 hearts here and wait further developments. North has a couple of choices here. I think the maybe down the middle choice is to bid 3 no trump and just give partner a choice of games between 3 no and 4 hearts. I will point out that if you want to bid 3 clubs here, which is your other option, this is natural and it is game forcing. I've heard some scary takes on this from experienced players lately that this 3 clubs is invitational. It is not. I mean, we're introducing a new suit at the 3 level and partner had a 15 to 17 no trump. This needs to be played as natural, like i.e. I have hearts and clubs and game forcing strength. So under no circumstances could partner pass here. And what South would do without a heart fit with stoppers and the other suits would just bid 3 no trump over 3 clubs. But one of the other, I guess it's a double-edged sword. We'll talk about both sides of them. One of the good things from a constructive bidding standpoint about bidding 3 clubs here is that you've kind of highlighted that you have a spade problem, right? Because think about the paths that the auction could go down from here. Like anytime your partner has 3 hearts, they're just headed to 4 hearts. So let's not worry about that. Let's think about when partner only has 2 hearts and you've gone out of your way to show clubs here. Well, they probably have diamond values. They're probably not worried about the diamond suit. But what suit you might be worried about is spades. So when you bid 3 clubs here, sure, it's descriptive in the sense that you're showing partner where you live, like where your cards are, where your length is. But by inference, you're actually suggesting to him also that, I might not be so sure about this spade suit. And if you were looking at something like Jack third in spades, maybe that's not the right idea of where we want to head here. I talked about it being a double-edged sword, and it is, because anytime you're conveying information to your partner, it has to be with the hope that he can do more with that information than the opponents can do with that information. Okay, so they're listening in on your telephone conversation here. In general, I would say that sharing information with partner is like, we're going to focus on the upsides of that more than we're going to focus on the downsides of sharing the same information with the opponents. However, realize that, it's out there, and it's possible that the opponents will use that information against you. So, South's just going to bid 3 no trump if the auction goes like this. He would pass, and then South would bid 3 no trump. The other possible auction, we'll undo these, is if North just bid 3 no trump immediately to offer a choice of games. And South is basically going to bid 4 hearts anytime he has at least 3 hearts. He's going to pass 3 no trump anytime he has a doubleton heart. And one upside of this auction is that you haven't shared that information with the opponents. So maybe, on some deals, it makes their life more difficult, especially from like an opening lead standpoint, is kind of where we'd be hoping the payoff would come there. So anyway, all of this, let's go on to the defense, which proved to be, I thought, pretty interesting too. And, a diamond got led at some tables here. I'm not going to criticize that at all. What I am going to do is lead spades for a couple of reasons. A, because that makes the hand more interesting from a talking standpoint. And B, because that's what happened the most amount of times. I will, in favor of the diamond lead, I will say that if you are West here and you lead a spade, like it's very likely that you are giving up a trick, like at least for the moment, to the strong no trump person on your right's king of spades, right? So here what ends up happening is we sacrifice a trick for the moment, but we end up setting up enough tricks to beat the contract later. So the spade lead works out. But if you are listening to this auction and you are sitting with the West cards, reasoning that, hey, if I lead a spade, it's very likely into the jaws of the person with the points at the table on my right. It's very likely into the jaws of her tennises. That's a good thing to be thinking about. Okay, whether or not you ultimately decide whether to lead a spade or not, that's not my position to say, but these are the kinds of things that when you're thinking about them, that should reinforce to you that you are, starting to spatially view the game in a stronger way. So let's go with this 2 of spades lead, 4th best from longest and strongest, just like the nursery rhyme says. The correct play with the East hand is the 7. It's 3rd hand high, but it's the lowest of equals. I think I saw some 10s out there in the field. We'll talk about, in fact, this is a very good example of why we're playing lowest of equals. You'll see it later on in a second. But for right now, the 7's the right play. 3rd hand high, lowest of equals. South is going to win the Jack. If they ducked, all that would happen is East would be on lead and lead a spade through the King Jack, and that would be even a messier situation. So we'll go with this trick 1 start. Now, if North-South is counting tricks, we had 3 spades, the dummy had 1, It looks like from the 2 of spades opening lead that the spades are 4 on our left and 5 on our right. If your opponents are using 4th best leads and they lead the 2, that's almost always from a 4-card suit. The other possibility is she's actually led from a 3-card suit, and the spades are 3-6, which would be even worse for you. So we have our spade trick in the bag. We have 5 clubs, and we have a diamond for 7, which is not enough for 3 no trump. So we kind of have no choice but to start working on this heart suit. Okay, we've got to develop some tricks, and the hearts are the suit where that's going to come from. I mean, we can kind of predict here that if East has the ace of hearts, we're just going down, because the next thing that happens is they're going to win the ace of hearts and they're going to push a spade through, and the defense will cash enough spades to beat us. So there's still a lot of stuff to talk about on this deal. Let's go with what happened at my table. I'm actually going to make a pretty big mistake here, but I'm going to get away with it. Seems to be a theme in this set of boards. So they led the king of hearts, high card from the short side, and I ducked here, which is the pretty big mistake. Declare only has 8 tricks still, so reasonably enough. There's something very cool here, which we're going to go back to at the end, but reasonably enough continued knocking out the hearts. And I won the ace. And at this point, the defense has enough tricks to beat the contract, okay? Because we got 1 in the bag and we have 4 spades that we're entitled to. Now, this is going to be a callback to why we played the 7 of spades on the first round of the suit. When I return the 10 here, okay, my partner can reason that I must have 10, 9, 8, 7. Okay, and the reason that I've got to have the 9 and the 8 also is Declare didn't win the 8 or the 9 on the first round of the suit. Like if Declare had the 9 or the 8, the first trick would have gone 2, 5, 7, 8, or 9. You know, she probably wouldn't have spent the jack. Most Declares win tricks as cheaply as possible. Okay, so when I return the 10 here, the 9 and the 8 are implicit in my hand. They're marked. Okay, and the question is, well, I'll show you what happens here. I mean, if Declare goes up with the king here, there's no problem for the defense. My partner just wins the ace, plays the queen, high card from the short side, and leads a spade over to my hand. The trickiest thing that Declare can do here is play the 6. And with the help of Gib, I'm going to show you the problem that the defense faces right now. So if we hit show double dummy, what you're going to notice now is that if my partner woodenly plays the 3 of spades, the contract is going to make from here, because what we've done is blocked off the spade suit. There's going to be no way for me to cash the long spade as East. So the winning play for him actually at this point is to overtake the 10 with the queen, cash the ace, and then still have the 3 left to lead to East's hand, and East has enough spades to set the contract. Imagine for a second, though, that let's put the 4. So let's take this 4 of spades, and I want to project you to project it in your mind into the south hand. The problem with playing the queen now as West is that you develop a trick for the protected king of spades that would be sitting south. So, and I'll leave that as an exercise to the reader. I hope you can see it or appreciate that, like, when the king is bare at this point, West can afford to overtake. But if the king had a little brother, if the king had the 4 still left, West would be blowing a trick by overtaking with the queen at this point. So the long and short of it is, we've got to figure out as West who has the 4 of spades. Okay. And I actually had to confirm with my partner that I had done this correctly. I had returned the right spade here. And his comment was that since I'm known at this point to have 10, 9, 8, 7 originally, and the 4 is the only thing we don't know about, if I'd had 10, 9, 8, 7, the correct sequence of plays would have been 7 at the first trick, and then 8 at the second trick, original fourth best, right? And still the 8 and 9 are implied. That's the way that he can differentiate a 4-card suit from a 5-card suit here. So a lot of stuff going on here. And, if you're at the stage where you're just like, look, my partner's 10 is winning the trick, I'm just going to play the 3. Realize that there's a lot more going on in this game than just always letting your partner win tricks that he's winning. Sometimes you got to unblock a suit, and it pays to know, where those missing cards are and be able to draw inferences like this. So even if you don't think you would have gotten this right at the table, I hope you can understand that, like, from Alex's standpoint, these are the kinds of things that are going on in his head, and these are the kinds of things that allow you to beat contracts rather than block suits. It's one more thing I want to talk about on this hand, which was my mistake of ducking the King of Hearts initially. I want to show you how Declare could have punished me. And we're just going to rewind a couple of tricks here to where I made the mistake. Okay, so this is the trick I made the mistake on. Declare led the King of Hearts, and it went duck, duck, duck. So let's go ahead and duck, and I ducked. I want you to watch what would have happened, and you'll notice the green equals by all the clubs. I want you to watch what happens if Declarer shifts gears at this point and plays the club suit. Okay, so East can pitch a couple of diamonds without too much pressure, and West can just pitch hearts. He's got no guard in the heart suit. We're going to play another club. West continue pitching hearts. That's fine. East can pitch one diamond comfortably. Okay, that's fine. The reason that he can only pitch diamonds at this point, obviously he can't pitch the ace of hearts, and he also can't pitch the long spade because that's the length card that sets the contract. So we've got to pitch the diamond. And now watch one more club essentially squeezes East. Okay. East doesn't have an out at this point. If he bears the King of Diamonds, the ace and the queen are going to be good. If he pitches the ace of hearts, all the hearts and the dummy are good. If he pitches the spade, he and his partner have no longer have enough spades to set the contract. Okay, so this is actually kind of like a cool, I'm not sure exactly what the technical name of it is. It's certainly in the family of squeezes. It might be like a squeeze without the count, perhaps, or it's a squeeze that operates actually when you haven't lost all the tricks yet. Anyway, that's how I could have gotten punished by ducking the King of Hearts on the first round, but it looked natural enough to do it. And honestly, I just sort of lazily played small at the table. Anyway, lots of stuff on that hand. This is the highlight hand of the night in my mind. Let's move on to 11. We have another candidate for a preempt. Minuses are that we have the ace of clubs, which is both a defensive value and an offensive value. The King of Hearts, which is kind of neutral, but we don't like to have stuff outside. We have a pretty ratty spade suit. Against that, we're not vulnerable, and we're in first chair where there are two opponents to steal from and only one partner to steal from. So that's good. And we don't have the ace of our preempted suit, Jack 10, 8, 7. It's not a great suit, but I think the fact that I'm first chair, not vulnerable with the boss suit, and again, what I mean by that is I'm actually more inclined to open a borderline 3 spades here than a borderline 3 hearts. Maybe someone who knows more than I do could tell me why that's backward, but it makes sense to me, just from a tactical standpoint. I think there's enough stuff going for this that I would go ahead and open 3 spades. And West doesn't have enough hand to act. I think as North, I would go ahead and raise to 4 spades here, since my side rates to have 10 trumps. And I have no hand. My partner purportedly has no defense. Let's make it as hard as possible on them. I would go ahead and bid 4 spades, even though I've got a bad hand. Actually, it's especially because I've got a bad hand, right? Like, I'd much rather be raising the 4 spades on the shape when I've got 6 high cards than when I have 11, right? Because what I'm hoping most of the value of this 4 spade bid is that it's the opponent's deal, which, like, all the writing is on the wall already. Um, and the more points I have, the more tricks I'm going to take on defense, and the less scared I need to be that we, block them from what their eventual best contract is. If you look at the East West cards, like the best contract is 6 clubs. Okay, but we've kept them from bidding 3-no here by bidding 4 spades. With East here, maybe you bid 4-no trump, 2 places to play, and potentially get to 5 or 6 clubs. But the point is, like, by bidding 4 spades with a hand like this, you make the opponent's lives much tougher. Okay, so I'd much rather see an auction like this where you force them to guess than an auction where, like, they get to 5 clubs and then you decide to bid 5 spades on the back end. That's for the birds. Put the pressure on them in the first place. And like, there's only so hurt you can get here. You have 10 trumps and you're not vulnerable, and you have, likely no defense. So if you're sitting north in this situation, like, you already know it's very, very likely that the opponents have a slam, right? And they for sure have a game. Okay, so if they double 4 spades, they're going to have to get it 3 tricks to compensate for the value of their game. And even when they get it 3 tricks or 4 tricks, then we're starting to talk about where they had enough firepower where they had an obvious slam. Okay, so anyway, further the preempts immediately and put maximum pressure on your opponents rather than backing in later after. Like, here's the thing you've got to fight. Like, it's so ridiculous, but I'm going to do the caricature. Is North thinking, like, ooh, tee, maybe the opponents will forget to bid if I pass? Like, there's no real bridge game where the person on your left isn't about to bid if you pass here. Make their lives tougher by jacking the bidding up as high as you are willing to go. Put them under pressure. Give them less space to operate with here. Don't, again, like, this false dichotomy of what's safe and what's gambling. Like, 4 spades might seem like the gambling bid. It's the safer bid than pass. All right, horse beaten to death. Oh, cool. This is a good hand to talk about light openings. I believe that maybe there was one other person, but I believe my partner was the only one who opened a spade with the West hand. And it's kind of going to bleed into what we were just talking about. I'm going to show you a couple different paths here. The reason I would be opening 1 spade, I have my soft values inside my long suit. The suit I'm offering is trumps. So I have king, queen, jack, 9. That's 4 tricks of offense and maybe no tricks of defense. And I have an ace outside. So, like, this is a much better hand as a candidate for opening at the 1 level, a little light, than even, say, we switched, like, the queen and the ace. Like, give me the ace, king, jack, 5th of spades, and the queen and a club. That hand would be much less attractive as a 10-point opener. But when I've got king, queen, jack, 9, 5th, and an ace on the outside, like, and I check my losing trick count, it's 2 hearts, it's 3 diamonds, it's half a club, and it's a spade. Losing trick count says I've got 6.5, right? And that's a half trick better than a minimum opening. I have the boss suit. I'm first to act. I'm not vulnerable against vulnerable. Like, honestly, I don't think I spend all that much time thinking about opening this hand 1 spade. Okay. Being the first into the bidding is a huge tactical advantage. You're going to hear me say that until I'm blue in the face. And I'm going to keep on doing it because people aren't opening light enough. Okay. But those are the factors that would cause me to open this hand a spade. Assuming we open a spade, it's just going to be kind of a straight 2/1 auction. Like, 2 hearts, pass, 2 spades, pass 3 hearts, pass 4 hearts, something like that. Anyway, the main point there is open the hand 1 spade rather than passing. Because like, what's going to happen if you don't open a spade a lot of the times is it'll go a diamond on your left, passed by partner, a heart on your right, and now you're certainly going to bid 1 spade. But the thing is, like, do that before the opponents have the whole 1 level to themselves. Realize that by losing trick count and by thinking of your hands in terms of how many tricks it's going to take, like we are certainly justified by opening 1 spade here. Again, back to that concept of like, you get 2 options of what you can say about your hand. And the options are 1 spade and pass. Think about how much more actionable and reasonable and defining 1 spade is than pass. 1 spade says, I have something resembling an opening hand. Like, my style, and it's that I can get a little aggressive, especially at this vulnerability and in this seat. I have at least 5 of them, and I can make some tricks if spades are trump. That's one option, and that certainly seems to fit with what you've actually got. And the other option is pass, which again, like, sure, it might seem like the safe action, but realize that the universe of hands you can have for pass is like this. And the universe of hands you can have for a spade, it's still pretty wide, but it's more like this. Okay, and when you open a no trump, the universe you can have is like this. And we're striving to make those actions that tighten up what we could possibly have. Hope that all makes some amount of sense. We're moving on to 13. And my mouth is dry. 9, 11. This is not my idea of an opening hand. If you talked about like giving me put the queen of clubs in with the spade suit and give me the 10 of hearts, that's the kind of 11 count I might be opening. But this one stretches it, even for me. So it goes pass, pass. South, like, there's no reason I need to open light here. In the 3rd chair, I don't have shape, and I don't have any suit in particular that I want to lead direct with. I don't have the spade suit, so I'm not worried about like it going all pass, and it turns out we had the spades as much. So I'm a passer with the south hand. Note again that like there are some hands with 7 or 8 points that I advocate bidding, because of the lead directional value, because of having the spade suit, because of the tactical value. Whereas the hands that actually have 11 here but are nondescript and don't want to steer partner any particular way, those make better candidates as passes. And I also feel like it's a little bit analogous to the discussion about like when we raised our partner's preempt from 3 to 4, that we should be more comfortable having like 0 to 6 points than we should having, say, 11 to 13, right? It's actually more comfortable having less, and kind of the same type of thinking would apply here. Like if I had less, but I had a good suit that I wanted to get the lead with, there would be more urgency to open the bidding. So I'd pass. West applies the rule of 15, which is spade length plus high cards. So we come to 17 via that formula. That 12 high cards and 5 spades. So we'd open a spade. It's just going to go pass. 1 no trump, which should not be forcing anymore by an unpassed hand. 2 clubs. Probably pass. Probably followed by a takeout double by South. Although the opponents like haven't bid and raised clubs here, they sort of have implicitly by passing 2 clubs on this auction. And it turns out the opponents actually have 9 clubs. We don't want them to play at the 2 level when we know they don't have game values and we know they have a fit. So like if North South can communicate their hands effectively to each other, they can safely compete in either diamonds or hearts at the 2 level, since they have 8 of those. And East West can safely compete to the 3 level in clubs, since that's the 9 trick level, and they have 9 trumps. But if we double here, a couple good things can happen. Either the opponents can sell out to 2 diamonds or 2 hearts, which we're happy about, or we can push them to 3 clubs, and maybe it turns out that they can only make 8 tricks in clubs. And again, like if we choose the safe option, we go minus 90. And if we choose the aggressive or gambling, has a really negative connotation. We can end up going plus 110 or plus 140 or plus 100 when it turns out that they can make 2 clubs, but they can't make 3 clubs. Okay, so those are the horses you have running when you balance. Like, you could make your own contract. You could go down for less of a penalty than their part score was going to provide them. Or you could push them to one level higher where they go down 1 rather than making on the nose at the 2 level. On to 14. All right, we have 15 as East, and we have 6-3-2-2, which is kind of what I think of as a hybrid balanced shape. Like, it's semi-balanced, and our 6 card suit's a minor. So I think this is a candidate certainly for opening a strong no trump. If you open a diamond and partner bids a spade, there's no real good way of describing this hand. I guess we can bid 3 diamonds, but that might be much more shape. Back to my earlier analogy, if you open a diamond, you're going to get stuck with a rebid that puts your hand in this kind of universe, where there's still a lot of possibilities. Whereas if you open a no trump, you're back down to this size universe, which is always a goal of constructive bidding, because it just allows partner to be the captain. It allows partner to add her assets to the concise picture we've already painted of our hand and make a decision for the partnership, transfer captaincy to her. Like, if we open a no trump, we just sit back and answer questions like Stamen or complete commands like transfers. And, we might get asked our opinion about like which choice of games, like 4 of a major, 3 no trump. But basically, we put it all on partner by describing our hand in one fell swoop. So although there might be like super advanced reasons to not have this be one of those hands that you open a no trump, right now, I think it does more good than harm if you consider 6-3-2-2 with a 6 card minor as a candidate for opening a no trump. And I would go ahead and open this hand 15 to 17 no trump. We already talked about like interfering over the strong no trump is based on shape. And here we have the added bonus of not being vulnerable. And the reason that that's an added bonus is if we're not vulnerable and we get out of line and they double us and beat us 1, it's not nearly as much of a disaster. Like, minus 100 is not nearly as big a deal as minus 200 is. If you just think about like the other possible candidate scores that the East-West would be getting, like 120, 110, 100, 130, 150. If we go minus 200, it leapfrogs all those scores. Whereas if we get minus 100, sometimes we can still get a reasonable score on the board. So if you were South here, I would be bidding, and I'd either be choosing just to show the spade suit, or if I had a way to show clubs and spades, I'd do that. When I've got 5 of the major and 4 of the minor, and the 4 card suit's like not incredibly stronger than the 5 card suit, sometimes I would tend towards just treating this as a 1 suited hand with spades. Particularly, you have the 10 of spades here. Anyway, I'd be looking to get involved with the South hand, whatever I have. All right, and we've probably gone over the important point of this hand with realizing that opening the East hand with 1 no trump is going to solve a lot of problems. On to 15. We have 14 semi-balanced. So it's the same idea. Like, if the heart suit here were the diamond suit, I'd again be okay opening a no trump. But that's for minors. When you have a 6 card major, just open the major. I saw some like 1 spade bids. Well, one of the reasons I saw 1 spade bid at our table was because we were playing this goofy system again where you routinely overcall 4 card suits. I saw 1 other in the field bid a spade with this hand. I kind of just like pass with the West hand. I guess double is okay, but like, it's off shape in the sense that you have 3 of their trumps and only 2 clubs. So I think I'm a passer. North should just bid 2 hearts. Again, it's the principle of show a fit. give partner actionable, concise information. Make the universe of your hand this big instead of this big. Okay. And like if you do something cute, like the two cute options are passing or bidding a forcing no trump, you're looking at a universe that's this big. But when you bid 2 hearts, you give partner the information she needs, like i.e., I have a 1 bid hand and I have 3 trumps for you, and you put it in a smaller box, which is what we want to be doing. So it goes 1 heart, 2 hearts. I believe the East hand is too weak to act here, although the fact that I have short hearts and I can anticipate the auction like going pass from here on out, I'm a hate life if that happens. I think there's just too much risk that there's a big hand sitting on my left. And also I realize that my partner can still bid on this auction, but if it goes pass, like even though my partner knows that we're not supposed to defend 2 hearts when they have an 8-card fit, she's also going to be the one looking at length in their trump suit since I have the singleton. Anyway, these are all the things I'd be thinking about. Pass, losing trick count is 2 diamonds, half a club, heart is 3.5, 2 spades is 5.5. I think if you wanted to I don't know. Like one of the problems with passing here is I know that the opponents are going to know that they're not supposed to be defending 2 hearts, and I'm going to feel implored to bid 3 hearts later on because I know that it's safe to compete to the 9 trick level when we have 9 trumps. I have 6 and my partner has 3 at least for this auction. I feel like making a game try here is a little bit thin. So anyway, I'm not sure. I realize that if I pass here, it's very likely that I'm going to be bidding 3 hearts later on. And I realize I'm kind of on the border of being worth an invitation anyway. So those are the things I'd be thinking about as South. And if South passed here, like, again, this is one of those warning bell auctions as West. West knows we can't let them play 2 hearts here when they want to. And you would be considering like a balancing action, like maybe 2 spades on a 4-card suit, maybe a takeout double. If you realize that this is a dangerous auction, passing 2 hearts here, that's more important for right now than worrying specifically about how you avoid that danger. Like if we can appreciate the danger, that's the part I definitely want to get drilled into you. And then later on, we can debate the merits of bidding 2 spades here on a 4-card suit versus doubling. Moving on to 16. Goes pass. North should definitely be opening this 12 count with a diamond. Each hand shape, like particularly with the 6th club, definitely justifies bidding 2 clubs. This particular auction where the opponents open a diamond and you overcall 2 clubs can be quite of a pain to deal with from the north-south perspective because they haven't gotten any majors on the table yet. One concept you've heard me talk about is your actions are more preemptive, more disruptive, more difficult to deal with, the less your opponents know about their combined hands. And we're going to go right back to the universe analogy. When North opens a diamond, the universe of hands she can have, pretty big. We might have 10 points and be shapely. We might have up to just shy of a 2 club opener. Like that's the range on our high cards. And shape wise, like we might have a balanced hand that just kind of conveniently opened a diamond. We might have 7 diamonds and a 4-card major. We might have 6 diamonds. So there's this gap or this wide range of shapes that the diamond opening can be and strengths that the diamond opening can be. Versus when they open a heart or a spade, that's a real suit. That's a 5-card major, presumptively if they're playing 5-card majors, which basically everybody does. But realize that there's more preemptive value in a call like 2 clubs when they open a diamond than there is when they open a heart or a spade. And South should bid 2 spades here, 5 and dime, forcing for at least 1 round. The 5 part is we have 5 spades. The dime part is we have 10 high card points. North can't raise spades because she's only got 2. Can't really bid no trump because she didn't have a club stopper. So I think kind of just gets backed into bidding 3 diamonds here. South can now bid 3 hearts. This is a new suit by responder, so certainly has to be forcing. Note that it was important to bid our 5 card suits in this order, starting with the higher ranking and then following up with the lower ranking, so that by the time we get to this point in the auction, we're at 3 hearts rather than being at 3 spades. Okay. And, partner can go ahead and raise that to 4 hearts. This was the auction that was, or the contract that was played at most tables. I did get a question about how to play 4 hearts. And what I'm going to offer you isn't necessarily bona fide the best line, but it's the line I would have taken. And it's going to allow me to point out some other stuff here too. As West, your partner bothered to overcall 2 clubs. Honor thy partner by leading a club. And the textbook club to lead here is low. I've heard a lot of misinformation about how we're always supposed to lead the highest card in partner suit. This is absolutely not true. Unless you have some special reason I don't know about to be leading the 10 here, you should lead low from this holding. One possible exception was that if you had raised clubs in the auction such that your partner knew you had 3 of them, then there could be more of a case constructed for leading the 10, because your partner would never confuse the 10 as being, potentially a singleton or doubleton, basically. So the club's the right card to choose here. I thought it was cute that when I watched all the replays, all the Souths played the jack of clubs from the north hand, as if the jack of clubs is going to win the trick. So I think that was kind of cute. In actuality, it doesn't matter what club you play here. Yeah. So let's say you played a club, just the deuce. I saw an alarming number of Easts winning the ace of clubs here. And we talked about it back on the hand where we defended 3-0 and we played the 7 of spades at trick 1 rather than the 10. Note the difference between these first 2 tricks. And I realize it doesn't matter on these hands, but in general, you are trying to build on defense the least puzzling depiction of your hand for partner as you can. Now there's super advanced exceptions where that your partner can't use the information as much as declare, and therefore you don't mind if you fool him. But everybody, including me, is at the level right now where the general idea is build the best picture for your partner. So notice if we play the queen here and declare follows with the 4, the ace and the king are implied. Declare would have won the ace of the king if she had him. That's why the queen's the right play. If we do it the wrong way, which is the ace here, and again, I saw, I think 2 people do this in the open and several people did it in the limited. If we play the ace here, partner has no idea where the king and the queen are, right? If an alien who didn't know about conventionally what you're supposed to do third hand were to land here and played the ace, you wouldn't know where the king and the queen were. And that's the reason why the queen's the right play. Okay, so anyway, back to that. We're going to force ourselves to play the right card there. And usually the defense just continue to club and declare roughed it. And now we've got this question of how to tackle this hand. So one idea would be to just play off the ace king of hearts at this point. And you're probably going to get away with that anytime the trumps turn out to be 3-2, which, they will turn out to be a significant amount of the time. Against that, the opponents did bid in this auction. So the more bidding your opponents do, generally, the less likely it is that suits break evenly. That's just kind of a general tip. If I play off the ace king of hearts here and the trumps are 4-1 or 5-0, I'm starting to lose control of this hand. Imagine playing off the ace, king of hearts, realizing that they're 4-1, leading a diamond to the dummy and taking the spade finesse and it losing, and then playing another club. Like the hand's about to fall apart for you in that you have, potentially fewer trumps than one of your opponents does, and you haven't like gotten your spade suit necessarily set up yet. So I think the right answer is you're going to have to eventually take the spade finesse anyway. Let's do it while we have control of the trump suit still. And I think probably some people like think here, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, if I lead a diamond, like it might get roughed. Or, if I take a spade finesse now before I pull the trump, something might get roughed. Like there's some minute chance of doing that. But again, it's the concept of this weird concept of like not committing to something. Like pulling trump is always safer and not pulling trump is always the gambling auction. And that's just like, that's the wrong way to be thinking about bridge actions. And like, I don't know how to be any clearer about that. So I think what I do is lead a diamond. That suit rates to break, 4-2 or 3-3. So it should be safe enough to enter the dummy twice in diamonds if I need to do that. And since I've got to take the spade hook at some point anyway, and since I want to go ahead and set up my side suit on so many of these trump hands, like where you've got a side suit to set up, it's going to be the right pattern to set up that side suit first. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. The trickier card to play here is the queen. If you're taking the finesse, the queen is a better card. I see this messed up way too often, guys. And we're going to talk about why this is the right card. When the queen wins the trick, East doesn't know where the jack is. But if we were to play the jack from the south hand and West plays the 2, now you've told East where the ace, queen, and jack are, right? The queen by inference, because West would have won the queen if she had it. Versus when we play the queen, we are still leaving the defense in the dark about where the jack of spades is. Now, like it might not be important. In fact, it probably won't be important. And they're going to find out soon enough that you have the jack of spades, but it is a super good habit to get into to not share superfluous information with the opponents. Okay. And I think the right answer now, or the right way we want to proceed about things, is to lead another diamond to the dummy. And again, like I say, like if you see a better line than this, that's fine. I'm not saying that this is like pinpoint precisely the correct line. It's just how I would be attacking the hand. It's another spade to the jack. And now our trump suit is set up. Okay, before we play off the ace, king of hearts. So it can go something like, what can we do at this point? I guess we can go ahead and cash the ace of spades, right? And what can West do? If she wants to trump in, that's fine. It's trick she's entitled to anyway. Or she can lay off, and at that point we just play the ace, king of hearts, and then run spades at her until she takes her heart tricks. Okay, so that's how you would be attacking this hand from Declare's standpoint. I did want to talk about that since got a question on it. Moving on to hand 17. We have another candidate for a preempt. And again, the fact that it's very similar to a hand from earlier. The fact that I have the boss suit, that I'm first chair, that I'm not vulnerable. All those factors are going to lead me to open this hand. And like, please open this hand 3 spades, not 2. Like lately I've been seeing a flurry of people who think it's cute to bid 2 spades with a hand like this. And unfortunately, like the layouts have been such that they've been getting rewarded a disproportionate amount of the time. But in my mind, this is just not good bridge to open 2 spades with 7 card suits, except maybe in the case where you're 7-2-2-2 and you're vulnerable. Like that's one potential exception I would make to that. But don't get cute and open 2 spades and think you're going to buy the pot. Be willing to risk 3 spades the first time around with a 7 card suit in first chair, not vulnerable. Amen. And I think like this is probably just going to seal out the opponents. I think I saw one East overcall 3 no trump with this hand, which seems awfully light to me. But actually, it leads into our next question. So I'll go ahead and bid 3 no trump here. This is not enough hand for 3 no trump. I'm almost 100% certain. Like if you give it another, at least a queen, king, like maybe then you just have to bid 3 no trump. But a 14 count without a source of tricks with half my hand in their suit, like this is not enough for 3 no trump. But it will lead into a question that I got from the audience, so we'll go ahead and stick with it. The question was, how should the defense go to 3 no trump? So South is either going to lead a heart or a diamond here, and I think it's kind of a coin flip. Our South led a heart, which you can recover from. It turns out that a diamond lead will make the defense much easier. And the fact that the opponents didn't bid 4 hearts, I think is going to tend to maybe lead me ever so slightly towards the heart lead instead of the diamond lead. But anyway, save all that nonsense. Let's just go down the path of what actually happened at the table of the person who asked the question. So it went heart. We can give count here with the 4 if we want. And like the next thing that happened was, obviously East West is going to desperately try to set up the club suit, second hand low, third hand high, no choice. And it's critical that North make the diamond shift at this point. So like we checked our Gib, the diamonds are down 2 and all the major cards are making an over trick. Here's how you might have enough information to lead a diamond at this point. I wouldn't be leading a spade because first of all, like partner didn't lead a spade, which makes me think it's very, very likely that there are 4 on my left. And if I lead a spade, I have let the opponent score 4 spade tricks, right? Because the power of their 9 of spades is going to allow them to score 4 tricks. Again, like if you don't see that immediately, that's fine, but you can work it out on your own time. So like both from we blow a spade trick by leading a spade, and like there's just not enough time to set the contract by leading spades, would lead me away from the spade suit. The heart suit is what you wouldn't do to not be responsible for potentially pissing partner off, right? Because you're just returning their suit. Like, how can partner yell at me if I just return her suit? So that's the case that can be made for the 2 of hearts. The case that can be made for diamonds is that you can kind of project that if partner has the king of diamonds or the queen of diamonds and a club entry, we might still be able to beat the contract at this point by leading diamonds. Okay, and it turns out that actually any of your 3 diamonds will do that. I think that what I would do probably is bang down the ace and then lead the 10, top of a doubleton. There might be trickier reasons to lead low or the 10. Let's see. In fact, if we lead low, no, that'll provide them with a stopper still. But the suit we need to turn to at this point is diamonds, and the reasoning would be hopefully just what I said, in that we can kind of see the writing on the wall that spades and hearts aren't going to produce enough tricks fast enough for us. The other thing too is like my opponent in this actual situation overcalled 3-0 on 14 points. Normally an opponent who bids 3-0 there is going to have something more like 18 or 17. So like against this diamond shift that we can see when we're looking at all the hands, like at the table, I'd kind of be thinking my partner maybe can't even have enough hand left to beat this contract. So I certainly sympathize with if you're thinking that way. And again, like don't worry so much that you're thinking the exact right specific things at the bridge table, but be awake to like the sorts of things that you ought to be considering. Okay. And another thing you ought to be considering is that at match points, sometimes at pair scoring match points, those are synonymous. Sometimes the goal isn't to beat the contract necessarily. It's to just not allow them to make over tricks. All right. So that's part of what makes pair scoring hard, is that sometimes you're not really sure what your objective is. All right. So this is a really long-winded video, and that's fine. That's kind of what I intended to do today. But like, honestly, if you've made it this far, I think probably you've picked up, there's like a year's worth of pregame talks in this. So anyway, East has a 5-card suit with 14 balanced. You open a club with the intention of rebidding 1 no trump. I'm losing my voice. I think with the West hand, you want to chirp here. You don't want to pass a club. So, you know, don't fall under the trap of like, oh, it's only 5 points. You need 6 to respond. Like, that's just not bridge. Bit of diamond. North doesn't really have anything to do despite having a pretty reasonable hand in terms of high cards. East continues with the plan to rebid a no trump. And I think it might just go pass from there. Another thing that could happen is like West could reason, hey, we have a diamond fit because my partner's got at least 2 diamonds. But just notice, for argument's sake, that if you do bid 2 diamonds on this hand, it's probably a safer contract. That's true. But also what it makes it easier for the opponents to do is back in with like a takeout double at this point. And again, like whether I've got 7 points or 14 points, I don't care. What I know about this is I have short trumps. The opponents want to play at the 2 level, and they've announced that they don't have as much as invitational values, okay, because they have stopped on a dime here in 2 diamonds. So I'm making a takeout double with this shape, regardless of whether I have 15 points or 5 points. It just doesn't matter. The key ingredients are I'm short in diamonds with support for the other things. The opponents have less than invitational values because I listened to their auction, and that's it. I don't care about how many points I've got in my hand. So if you take out the 2 diamonds here, what you're gaining is probably a safer contract. What you're giving up is you're making it more easy for the opponents to balance. 19. Have I hit all my questions here? I think I have. Okay, cool. We can kind of race through these last couple of hands. I seem to remember them not being super interesting anyway. That's 13 balanced with 3-3 in the minors. You open a club. It goes pass. East should bid a spade. It goes pass. West should raise to 2 spades. Danger, Will Robinson. They're at the 2 level where they want to be. This probably isn't the right contract to defend. Now, North can go ahead and pass. You know, he's got balanced shape, and he's still got a partner that can bid before the auction ends. And also, he doesn't know what East's hand is. I mean, if East has less than invitational values, he's about to bid 2 spades, and it's going to be South's problem about what to balance with. But if East bids 4 spades, like, we'll be glad we kept our mouth shut. So East actually is going to pass with an 8 count opposite a minimum opening hand. And now, like, I saw a lot of people in the field pass with the South hand. You can't do that. You just can't let them play 2 spades on this auction. You got to make a takeout double and get your side to 3 hearts. And here's another reason why I brought up the common game. This is hand 19. One of the cool features about the common game site is that we can go to hand 19 here, and we can see like what the double dummy makes are. And you will see that North-South can make 3 hearts, and East-West can make 1 spade. So your options are defending 2 spades and getting 100, or bidding 3 hearts and getting 140. Or the other good thing that could happen is they could bid 3 spades, and now all of a sudden you've got that magic 200. And, you know, if we go back to Bridge Base and look at what the comparison looked like on this hand, I got to go back to history. My table, board 19. And just because we play a weak no trump, we played 1 no trump on this hand. But if you look at the other tables where they were allowed to play 2 spades, you know, if you allow your opponents to play 2 spades here and they make it, it's a 30%. And like, again, dead horse, but don't live your life passively accepting a 30% result because it feels safe. It's ridiculous. You can't passively accumulate losing positions because you're scared about making a takeout double, and going for 500 or 800 and having it be embarrassing until 5 seconds later where you pick up the next hand and everybody's already forgotten about it. Okay. This is like good general life advice. You can't be afraid to look dumb. Who cares? You can't acceptably, you can't passively accept defeat. Amen. Next board. I hope you guys get some value out of me being animated about the things I strongly believe in too. Okay, pass. A heart by North. I'd be willing to make a takeout double with the East hand, despite the fact that I have only 10 points. I've got 3 clubs, 2.5 diamonds, a heart, and half a spade is 7 losers. That makes me think that it is resembling an opening hand, and I have the perfect, like the ideal shape that my partner is going to imagine when I make a takeout double. I've got 4 cards in all the other suits. I've got 1 card in their suit. Okay. The most actionable information that South can give here is by bidding 2 hearts. Please bid 2 hearts on these hand, not 1 spade, particularly not 1 spade when spades has been suggested as a trump suit by the opponents. Okay, 2 hearts is the winning bid here. Don't bid 1 spade and then have your partner bid 2 diamonds and then you bid 2 hearts on the back end, because the idea you are conveying to your partner when you bid like that is that you have a doubleton in their suit and you're just taking a preference back. It's right back to the idea, the concept of make your universe as small as possible so that partner can pinpoint the combined assets for the hand. Okay, when we bid 2 hearts here, we are giving partner the information that she needs to place the contract on 2 different axes. We're saying 6 to 10 points, and we are saying 3 plus trumps. And those are very likely the 2 pieces of information that will be dearest to your partner. I think West probably has enough to bid 2 spades here with the 4 card suit, and she knows that the opponents have a heart fit. She's got a few values here. Against that, like she's only got 4 spades. She's balanced, and it's not the suit she wants led against hearts potentially. But I think we're bidding 2 spades with the West hand. North here has half a diamond loser, 2 club losers, a heart loser, and a spade loser, which is 2.5, 3.5, 4.5. Opposite her partner's single raise, it should just be 4 hearts, and that should be the end of the auction. Like nobody should be getting any cuter here. And notice, like, we're using this losing trick count evaluation a lot in these auctions where our partner's shown a fit and we're wondering, should I pass a part score? Should I invite a game? Should I bid a game? That's like one of the most actionable, useful situations where that losing trick count comes into play. Deal 21. 18 balanced for North, opens a heart with the intention of rebidding 2 no trump. East is white on red with the boss suit and really needs to bid some number of spades here. I'm okay with 3 or 4. What I'm not okay with is bidding 2 spades. Maybe the opponents will forget to bid their game. Get rid of that garbage thinking, get rid of that garbage thinking, get rid of that garbage thinking. I'll give you a reason why. If you bid 2 spades here, you let your South can just really easily just bid 3 hearts and North can bid 4 hearts. If you bid 3 spades here, I mean, I think probably South is still supposed to bid 4 hearts here, although, you know, South is under a lot of pressure here. She's got a fit for her partner, but not really game forcing values, but she's also staring the vulnerability flat in the smack in the face. Like, we're red and they're white, and this is my chance to show partner that I've got a heart fit. You know, maybe this hand is enough to just bid 4 hearts and hope with, but you're putting your opponents in a much more difficult space than if you think you take this cute action of just bidding 2 spades and letting South have a very comfortable 3 heart bid. Okay. There was at least 1 East who bid 4 spades here. I think maybe that's a little bit much, but I have some sympathy for it, and certainly your red blood is in the right place when you have the boss suit and you are white on red. Okay, so 4 spades did not turn out so well here, but I certainly admire it. We'll put it that way. But don't bid 2 spades, bid 3 or 4 spades. Amen. On to the last board. It is almost nap time. All right. We have a balanced 12 count. I suggest you open all your 12 counts. Again, pass is this universe. One diamond is a little bit more defined. It's not as defined as we'd like, but it's more defined than this, which is pass, right? Like when you start the hand, before you open the hand, like your universe is stand up and spread your arms as wide as you can. And when you pass, you're truncating it a little bit because now your partner knows that you don't have opening hands. And when you open a diamond, you're defining it a little bit more. And when you open a major, you're defining it a little bit more. And when you open a no trump, you're defining it even more. And we want to strive to make the bids that define our hands as concisely as possible, as quickly as possible, to put partner in the captain's chair and know more about the combined assets of the partnership. That theme will take you places. Okay. Make those bids. All right. We are just about done hearing me yak here. West bids a heart. Neither north nor south like has any inkling of coming into this bidding. East rebids a no trump. It just goes 3 no trump. And it goes pass, pass, pass. And you type into chat that I had a nice time, partner. Thank you for the hands. Thank you for putting up with me for 22 boards and 2 hours and 15 minutes, which is, I guess, also what I can say about this video at this point. So hope this helps you. And yeah, let's keep on having 9 tables in the limited game. And let's sign up for Mentor Mentee and have just a tremendous amount of tables for that. Everybody keep in mind, like, you want to be encouraging the newer players as much as you can, because this game is going to die without them. And this game is too beautiful to let die. And it's your responsibility to the people that helped you along when you were in their shoes, that you pay forward that favor now. Okay. So that's whatever. That's preachy of me. But again, I feel strongly about it. I'm going to say it. I've gone this far. It's my right to say it. Anyway, that's it for me for now. It is nap time. Actually, it's compile the video time and then nap time. I hope you guys get some entertainment value out of this and maybe enjoyed the poker that went on earlier too. And love y'all. See you soon.